Oh my God, folks. Okay, I can't believe, I wasn't originally going to even do this particular topic within the discussion about the Marilyn Manson, Evan Rachel Wood debacle, because it's so utterly ridiculous that it really doesn't merit comment. But people have actually written in with this shit. People have actually messaged me about this. And it's kind of amazing to me. But, I've maintained throughout the whole Marilyn Manson, Evan Rachel Wood debacle that while I am on Team Manson and I am rooting for him to emerge from the lawsuit victorious, I have also maintained that we should have a modicum of respect and sympathy for Evan Rachel Wood, because one of three things has happened. Either she's been abused and manipulated by Marilyn Manson, or she's been abused and manipulated by Ilma Gore, or both. And so those are the three possibilities there as I see it. And that's a disclaimer I put at the beginning of all of my videos. What's amazing to me is people have actually come to me and said, well, how do we know the whole thing hasn't just been staged? And when they say claiming that the whole thing has been staged, what they mean is that Marilyn Manson and Evan Rachel Wood and everybody on either side has all colluded to create this giant hoax of a publicity stunt. Because, it gets them more publicity, it gets their names out there. Okay. It gets them more publicity. It gets their names out there. Marilyn Manson has a decades-long career, a multi-platinum back catalog of hit albums, most of which have debuted in the top 10 on Billboard. He is a world-renowned entertainer and artist. He regularly tours the globe, playing to thousands and thousands of people every night. His most recent album, We Are Chaos, was hailed by critics as a dramatic step forward in the maturing of his sound, his most ambitious album since Antichrist Superstar, his most successfully realized artistic vision since Antichrist Superstar. His career had nowhere to go but up, and he had revitalized himself with that album. He had revitalized his public image, not just as a classic rock shock artist of yesteryear, but a new and vital contributor to the contemporary musical zeitgeist. He was deep into collaborations with Kanye West and other major pop artists. He was at the top of his game, a multi-millionaire with a beautiful wife and a prosperous career. What on earth publicity value would there be for him to intentionally take part in a hoax scandal that would turn him overnight not into a pretend cartoon villain in the media, but into an actual reviled, villainous human being in his actual public image? Would cost him his record deal, would cost him all of his radio airplay, would have editorial commentators all the way up to and including Rolling Stone magazine calling for his entire back catalog to be purged from streaming services and pulled from record stores, and rewrite his own history and his own legacy as being an abusive sexual assailant with a long history of mistreating and manipulating and coercing women into doing horrible, heinous things. What exactly would any sane human being have or even any insane human being have for doing something so unbelievably stupid? You really think that Manson would be motivated to torpedo his entire career for a little bit of extra media attention when he already had more than he could ever possibly need? That is the and people seriously will posit this suggestion. How do we know the whole thing wasn't fake? Good God. Surely, Alex Jones and Sandy Hook showed us why it's so fucking stupid to think this way. For some reason, Alex Jones got it in his head to start telling people that the children, or start accusing the parents of children at Sandy Hook of being crisis actors, something for which he has now been successfully sued for libel. And, you know, it's like nobody, I don't know, I don't follow Alex Jones enough or really at all to know, but did nobody ever take him aside and say, Alex, buddy, what motivation would people have for this? I mean, I know he's got, you know, typical right-wing lunatic. He's going to say, oh, it's about gun control and they're trying all that shit. But my God, no, okay. The truth is emerging in the Marilyn Manson case, okay? I've said it before, I'll say it again. Marilyn Manson has been accused by Ilma Gore and Evan Rachel Wood of creating child pornography with the groupie video. The actress in the groupie video and the director in the groupie video have emerged to confirm that the actress Paula Weiss was in fact of legal age when she appeared in the video. She is on the record saying that over and over again. It is confirmed. They are completely wrong. They are absolutely and without question lying about that. That is the number one thing he is suing them for defamation. He is suing them for orchestrating a smear campaign against him. He has all of the information. He has acquired all of the information that they distributed, the scripted things that they were asking women to say about him, the bogus email message that was circulated purporting to be from a specific FBI agent when in fact that very specific FBI agent had no involvement whatsoever. And those two things were confirmed to be the products of Ilma Gore because she was dumb enough to go on Twitter and say that those were things she created and therefore her copyrighted material. Subsequent to which Evan Rachel Wood began distancing herself from Ilma Gore, even though they had been Ren and Stimpy levels of close together in this up until this point. The reality of what's going on is coming out, and it's going to be more and more obvious. And I, like I said, I'm rooting for this to be revealed to be another Jussie Smollett kind of thing. It's becoming increasingly obvious what's happening. Okay, now let's switch it around. Let's look at it from the Evan Rachel Wood standpoint. Okay, let's see. You're Evan Rachel Wood. You've got a you are a highly successful actress worth millions of dollars. You are extraordinarily well known. You have appeared in you regularly appear in major motion pictures, and you have a hit TV series on HBO in the form of Westworld. So what publicity value would there be for you to be a part of a hoax controversy where you eventually get to be revealed as a liar and a fraudster and possibly be facing criminal charges for impersonating a federal agent? What motivation? This is now going to court. Whichever one of these sides you take, whichever one of these people's sides you take, this is now going to court. It is a federal crime to intentionally waste the court's time with bogus bullshit. What motivation would either one of these people have to do that? You know, it was the reason I brought this up, actually, I've been ignoring it up until now, but the reason I brought this up was last Sunday at the Oscars. I didn't watch the Oscars. I don't watch the Oscars because I don't watch the Oscars unless there's some specific movie that I'm rooting for. Like I was rooting for Joker in 2019, so I watched it then. And Joaquin Phoenix got the Best Actor, which he should have gotten, and Hilda Guðnadóttir got the Best Soundtrack, which was also great. I know people have been wanting me to say something about Danny Vanilla's stupid Dune adaptation getting the Academy Award for Best Soundtrack. And all I can say is, you know, you're right. I mean, how dare I maintain a negative opinion about the soundtrack of a movie when a longer standing the voting committee of a very long-standing awards organization votes against my opinion. How dare I hold on to that position? I mean, clearly Hans Zimmer has hit on something brilliant with this new style of music that sounds like an entire ethnic choir trying to collectively pass kidney stones while singing along to percussion that sounds like a basketball bouncing down an empty hallway. I mean, clearly it's well beyond my understanding. The Academy is of such great renown that they clearly have a better grasp on this than I do. Argument from authority fallacy is absolutely not a thing, and just how dare I maintain. This is sarcasm for the people that are, you know, breathing with their mouths open. Anyway, but I bring this up because the Academy Awards happen, and of course, the slap heard around the world. Will Smith smacks Chris Rock in the face for making a joke about his wife. And, you know, it's funny, this is a side tangent, but that happened. I didn't watch it. I found out about it the next day. On Facebook, because Facebook was temporarily devoted to nothing else, kind of like when they shot Covfefe in the zoo. Was it Covfefe? No, Covfefe was the stupid thing that Donald Trump tweeted. They shot that gorilla in the zoo, and everybody's like, well, if I had done it, I would have done it differently, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but it's so funny. I watched the playback of that happen, and my first thought was, oh my God, it's a conflict between two people that are the same gender, the same race, roughly the same size, the same income bracket, the same age range, the same race, the same nationality, they speak the same language. Oh my God, I can finally have an opinion on what happened based on the events that occurred, rather than having to hear some stupid bullshit about privilege and hierarchies in society and oppression and blankety, blank privilege versus blank privilege and all of this bullshit. I can actually just think about what actually happened. Anyway. But that happens. You know, Will Smith gets up there and smacks Chris Rock, and to any of my friends that have brought this up to me, I love you all. You are very dear to me. You are all very dear people in my life. But multiple friends who talk to me about this, and people on social media who talk to me about it and interact with me about it, and other people have been saying the same thing. They say, how do we know the whole thing wasn't staged? Whatever this impulse is that people have, you know, there are very often, as we are seeing with the Marilyn Manson case, as with the aforementioned Jussie Smollett case, there are times when things are presented to us that turn out to not be what they originally were. But the fact that we don't know that it was not all staged for our amusement, or for propagandizing some position or something like that. The fact that we don't know it was staged does not mean it's worthwhile to wonder about whether or not it was. And in the case, in the case of the Jussie Smollett thing, yes, it was a hoax, and yes, it was eventually revealed to be a hoax. But if we were to apply that logic to that situation, it would be, how do we know that the producers of Empire didn't get Jussie Smollett to do that just to get the show more publicity? How do we know? And I don't know what it is in people to want to try to do that. But it's something about somehow. I feel like it used to be that people who interpreted things that way were considered to be on the lunatic fringe. Now it's this very mainstream opinion to do that, to say, how do we know they didn't do blah, 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 blah. And part of me thinks it began with, it really entered the mainstream with 9/11, How do we know it didn't bring the towers weren't brought down with controlled, all of this stuff. That feeling, it's like, it's this weird thing. It really is, the psychology of looking at things that way is really intriguing to me. And maybe if there's someone who knows psychology and psychological concepts better than I do, maybe there's somebody who can explain it, or knows a term by which to describe this sort of phenomenon of people who want to do that. But it's the most ridiculous thing. I mean, if you find yourself at that point, ask yourself what the point. If you find yourself at that point of not just thinking that there's more to a situation than what we've been told. That is often the case, and that's understandable. But if you find yourself immediately going to that thing of, how do we know both sides weren't really collaborating on this all along? If you're at that point, I'm very curious as to why anyone would arrive at that point. And especially when it's something like the Marilyn Manson, Evan Rachel Wood situation, where one or both of these people's careers is going to be tanked by this. And what could possibly be the beneficial outcome? I have no idea to doing that. It's kind of like, in the 80s during the Satanic Panic. One of the things that happened was Judas Priest was taken to court because of the song Better by You, Better Than Me, where it sounds like there's a subliminal message saying, do it, in the background. And so they were taken to court for encouraging children to commit suicide because of the words do it in the background. And Rob Halford went to court, and he actually sang the part a cappella to demonstrate that what you hear that sounds like do it is him clearing his throat between passages in the background. But Rob Halford goes to court, and he had a really being accused of influencing children to commit suicide in his lyrics. And he had a very good point, just a very simple, very obvious, very good point. He said, if I thought that we could if I thought we could influence the behavior of our fans that way, I would tell them the message would be to go buy 7 more copies of the album. And he's absolutely right. So whatever this impulse is, people, just, we're figuring out what's going on with the Marilyn Manson situation. But look, it was, I promise you, it was not a carefully orchestrated collusion between Marilyn Manson and Evan Rachel Wood to fuck up their public reputations and waste everybody's time. I promise you it was not that. and also, Sandy Hook was the result of a juvenile delinquent teenage shooter who shot up an elementary school. And Will Smith slapping Chris Rock was not an orchestrated event by the Oscar Awards Committee. It was a man getting riled up by a joke that he perceived as being insulting to his wife, and he proceeded to slap the person who said it. That's it. That's all there is to it.